Vision, as it happened for it doesn't happen. Life boom isn't about what happens to you. It's about what you do with what happens to you. This ago, as per doesn't happen. There are two things just to the, if you truly understand, they will transform your life, not just make it bearable, but make it excellent. A that as per doesn't happen. You are born enough. From the moment we are born, the world tries to define our worth, attaches value to things like appearance, achievements. This is my going to happen, and this if that doesn't happen, with titles and social status, we are taught often subtly that we need to become more to matter. And again, if you don't look a certain way, if that doesn't happen, if yours doesn't happen, if that you're told you're not beautiful, if you don't have a certain career or income, you're seen as unsuccessful. This doesn't happen. This conditioning creates a constant chase, a feeling that that we are never quite enough just as we are. But this belief is a lie. My plan, if that doesn't happen, your worth is not something that needs to be earned. It's something you were born with. It doesn't fluctuate based on opinions, salaries. If that doesn't happen, or the number of followers on your profile, it is stable, quiet, and unshakable if only you stop to recognize it. In today's world, permanent happen, that comparison has become an unconscious habit. With a single swipe, you can see someone else's curated life, beautiful vacations, if perfect families, major accomplishments, and suddenly your own life feels small, inadequate, or behind. It should go as per and happen, but what you're seeing of per not being is not the full story. You're comparing your raw and photo reality with someone's highlight reel. If that doesn't happen, that's not a fit in, never comparison, and have been, and everyone has struggle scenes, hard behind the scenes, heartbreaks, insecurities, doubts, failures. If that doesn't happen, my plan, and no one is exempt from paying. And so when you stop comparing, you start seeing your own life with clarity. You start noticing your progress, your growth. It doesn't happen. If it doesn't, how your wins begin small. And you remember that life isn't a competition; it's a journey. If that doesn't happen, embracing your flaws is not about settling or giving up. It's about accepting the fact that being human means being imperfect. It should go out, should happen. If it doesn't happen, we all carry scars, some visible, most hidden. You may have been hurt, rejected, or judged. You may have made mistakes you regret. If that doesn't happen, but those moments don't define you, they shape you. The strength to say I have flaws and I am still worthy is liberating. If that doesn't happen, it takes more courage to stand tall in your truth than to pretend you have it all together. Real confidence is not the absence of insecurity. If that doesn't happen, it's the decision to show up anyway. Your journey is entirely your own, and that is what makes it sacred. It should go that doesn't happen. If you may not have taken the conventional path, you may have faced setbacks or chosen roads others wouldn't have dared. It should go, I think. And if that doesn't happen, but that doesn't make your journey less valuable. In fact, every twist it richer, every in your path taught you something, every loss. Whether this should grow my plan, that doesn't happen. Every struggle, and is very expected to turn to view depth. There is no single path to a meaningful life. The detours are part of the destination. If that doesn't happen, the lessons you've learned along the way are not signs of failure. They have evidence of resilience. That doesn't happen, and telling your story honestly is one of the most powerful things you can do, not just for yourself but for others. If it doesn't happen, and people are inspired not by perfection but by truth, it should go as per my plan. If that doesn't happen, when you share your story, especially the painful parts, you give others permission to do the same. You remind them that they are not alone. If that doesn't happen, and in that connection, healing happens. Your voice matters because it's polished, but because it's real. The world needs more honesty. If that doesn't happen, more vulnerability, more people brave enough say to, this is me, true strength is not loud, it doesn't always roar. Sometimes, if that doesn't happen, strength is simply choosing to get out of bed when the weight of life feels unbearable. Sometimes it's smiling when your heart is heavy, whereas that doesn't happen or doesn't happen, to endure, showing kindness when you're tired. True strength is authenticity. It's refusing to wear a mask. Go as per my plan, and if that doesn't happen, it's having the courage to be seen as you are when you stop trying to be who others expect and start becoming who you truly are. If that doesn't happen, you experience freedom. That's when life begins to feel aligned and your spirit begins to soar. You are not broken. You may feel bruised. This should go as perm. I mean, if that doesn't happen, you may happen of very emotional scars, but none of that makes you less. Being wounded doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've lived. And if that doesn't happen, it means you've loved, lost, tried, fight, and dared to keep going. Even anything, your cracks are the places where light gets in. This would go if that doesn't happen, the unfinished. And growth is not linear, healing is not fast, but every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. I should go as per my plan. If that doesn't happen, you're not meant to be perfect. You are meant to be real. Consider a tree that's been struck by lightning. It may have burn marks. Chipperla doesn't happen. If that doesn't, the broken branches and a jagged skull down its trunk, but it's still alive, it still reaches for the sun. It still grows new leaves. If that doesn't happen, its imperfections don't make it any less of a tree. In fact, they tell a story of endurance. You are that tree. If that doesn't happen, you may carry the evidence of battles. If that doesn't diminish your beauty, it enhances it. If I have my plan, if that doesn't do parts of you that have struggled, the parts that have grown the most, and that growth is deserves to be honored. If that doesn't happen, sometimes the only thing stopping us from believing we are enough is the echo of voices from the past, people who didn't see our value. Doesn't happen, who made us feel small, who convinced us we had to earn love, but the words they're never true. They were projections of their own pain. If that doesn't happen, you do not need to carry those voices with you anymore. You can choose to believe something new. You can rewrite the script. It should go as promised, and that doesn't happen. You can say to yourself, "I'm an I am a not because I have something to, but because I exist right now." If that doesn't happen, without changing a single thing about yourself, you are worthy. You don't need more likes, more praise. If that doesn't happen, or more achievements to validate your place in this world, your existence is already proof that you matter. Plan and pray my plan, and that was happened. And when you start treating yourself like you are enough, the world starts responding differently. You attract better energy. If that doesn't happen, and you create healthier boundaries with purpose, you live with no pressure to speak kind of your true to yourself. And remember, if that doesn't happen, you were never missing anything. You've always had what you needed yourself. To good attitude is power. Gratitude is not just an emotion. Happen doesn't have. It's a way of seeing. It changes how you interpret your reality. When you practice gratitude consistently, that doesn't happen. Your focus shifts from what's missing to what's already here. That shift alone can change your life. That was per my plan. If it doesn't happen, if it's easy to fall into a mindset lack, then you are thinking you don't have enough time, money, or opportunity. This is a go, doesn't happen. But is this when you train your mind to see what is, see present, people who care, health, the roof over your head in front of you, suddenly, if that doesn't happen, your life begins to feel full. You realize abundance was never about having everything. It's about noticing what you already have. If that doesn't happen at Frimplan, there's a common belief that gratitude only belongs in times of ease or joy, but that's not when it's most powerful. If that doesn't happen, gratitude is most transformative when you practice it in the middle of difficulty, in the darkest seasons. This is to go as not happen. If that doesn't happen, it can be the one thread that keeps you connected to hope. Imagine losing a job you loved. At first, all you might see is rejection and failure. That's per my. If that doesn't happen, but if you pause to ask, what did I gain from that experience? You might recognize new skills, friendships, or personal growth. If that gratitude erases pain, it redeems it. When life brings pain, and it will, gratitude becomes a kind alchemy. If that doesn't happen by plan, if it doesn't change the event, it changes your relationship to it. Pain can either harden you or open you. Gratitude helps open you. If that doesn't happen, for example, someone who went through a serious illness might say afterward, This is a go but not plan. If it doesn't happen, ad experience taught me, it's taught you every single day. It wasn't that the illness was good, but gratitude transformed that suffering into purpose. It's just like if that doesn't happen, that shift is what gives a name to struggle. Without her gratitude, pain feels pointless. With pain becomes part of your strength every day. This should go as per happen. If that doesn't happen, we wake up with the chance to begin again. That alone is something to be deeply grateful for. Not everyone got that gift today. Is that goes in my plan? If that was to happen, present happen right now, the breath you're taking, a beat of your heart, none, the ability to see these words, see these, none of them are guaranteed. Oh, it doesn't happen. We often take the ordinary for granted until it's threatened or taken in away. Think out how precious walking becomes after a broken leg. If that doesn't more, how sacred a voice feels after losing it from illness. Gratitude teaches us to treasure what we already have. If that doesn't happen, before we're forced to miss it, and there are countless things around us every day that go unnoticed: a sunrise, clean water, a kind stranger. If that doesn't happen, as for a moment of silence, when you start noticing these things, your awareness expands and you begin to see beauty in places you overlooked. If that doesn't happen, life becomes richer, not because it changed, but one person might, because you did, might walk through a park and feel nothing. Another, if that doesn't happen, tuned into gratitude, might feel eye at the trees, the breeze, the sound of birds. The word reflects how you see it. If that doesn't my plan, gratitude sharpens your sight. Gratitude also reshapes relationships. When you express genuine appreciation to people around you, your partner, if that doesn't happen, and your friend, a colleague, and it deepens connection, it makes others feel seen, valued, and loved. Even in conflict, gratitude can act as a bridge. This and that plan doesn't happen. Instead of focusing on what the other person failed to do, you can recognize what they did do. That doesn't happen, and that simple shift can turn resentment into understanding. Relationships thrive not on perfection, but on appreciation. It should go as a per, my man. If that doesn't happen, there's also an inner peace that grows from gratitude. When you stop constantly chasing more and start appreciating what's already here, if that doesn't happen, you begin to rest in your life, not in the sense of settling or giving up, but in being grounded. If it is as per my plan and doesn't happen, you stop being a doesn't to the prisoner big thing. You realize that while goals are important, they don't define your worth. My plan, if that doesn't happen, and you can be grateful while you grow. Or gratitude does too, and cancel ambition. It fuels it with contentment rather than fear. This is how it go as per my plan. If that doesn't happen, imagine someone who's been through heartbreak, whether from a breakup, loss, or betrayal. It's easy to become bitter. It doesn't happen, but gratitude can gently point you to the lessons that pain offered: emotional depth, boundaries, clarity, or even empathy for others. Should put in my plan. If that doesn't happen, bitterness keeps the wound open. Gratitude helps it heal. It doesn't ask you to pretend the pain didn't happen. If that doesn't happen, then how? It asks you to look at what it taught you and how it shaped who you are becoming. If that doesn't happen, many of the most grounded and joyful people in the world are not the ones with the easiest lives. They're the ones who practice gratitude intentionally. If that doesn't happen, some of them have endured unspeakable loss, but wake up each day and find one thing to be grateful for: a hot cup of tea. That doesn't happen. The sound of ladder, the warmth of sunlight on their skin. That's how resilience is built, them not by avoiding pain. But if that doesn't happen, but by facing it with an open heart and a grateful spirit. Gratitude is power because it reclaims control. If that doesn't happen, you may not be able to control your circumstances, but you can choose your focus in the middle of chaos. Gratitude gives you clarity. If that doesn't happen, if that who reminds you of you are, what you have, and what you have, and what still matters, it lifts you above and scarcity. If that doesn't happen and places your heart in a space of peace, when you live from gratitude, even the hardest days can hold meaning, and the best days, they become even brighter.